The last episode ends before announcing the scores of each team in the second round. This episode starts with Lee Han announcing each team's score. However, when the scores were displayed, everyone was shocked. Lee Han gives 8 for Ming's dish, but Yoon gives only 1 mark out of 10 for the Joseon dish. Seeing this, everyone is speechless. Even Minister Jason seems stunned by such marks. Lee Han looks at Yoon angrily and asks Bailong to step forward. He praised Bailong for the dish and how devoted he is towards Joseon culture. Hearing this, Bailong bowed in thanks while Yoon was happy. However, Lee Han announced the scores for the second round of the competition is invalid. Yoon laughed at the announcement and started to tell Bailong's score was high. Suddenly, Lee Han slams the table hard, truly enraged. Ministers were all nervous seeing this, but Lee Han points out Yoon's score for Joseon, tells everyone that Yoon deliberately gives low scores just to make Ming cooks win this round. But Yoon seems unfazed by Lee Han's acquisition and tells mockingly that the rule is to give scores to each other, which he does. Yoon sighed at Yoon's shameless behavior, but Lee Han started laughing at Yoon's ridiculous logic while others seemed disappointed. Lee Han asks Yoon, "Don't you know what you have done?" Giving scores honestly to each other is the fairness of this competition, and what Yoon has done now is not only shameful but also embarrassed his own Ming Nation chef's sincerity. He yells at Yoon that in the first round, the very person who refuses to win by cheating was Bailong, but Yoon disgraced such honest cooks by playing petty tricks. But Yoon mocks Lee Han. How will he decide the winner then? But to everyone's surprise, Lee Han announces each cook will taste their own dish and evaluate themselves. Hearing this, Yoon wonders what Lee Han is thinking and how would they give scores to themselves. But Lee Han explains that human tendency is to blind to their own shortcomings. With that in mind, he wants the cooks to score their own food, and that scores will decide the winner of this second round. Each team member starts to taste their own dish. After tasting, Lee Han asks Joseon's chef Yoon to give her dish's score. But Yoon replies that she can't give a score to her dish and explains that the roast duck dish was made with the hard work and dedication of everyone in her team like Cook Mang, Cook Bong, Maid Seo, and others. So they cannot evaluate their own dedication and teamwork, so she apologized. Hearing this, Lee Han smiled slightly and asked Bailong for his scores. Before Bailong could answer, Yoon signals him to give high scores. But Bailong's answer only infuriates Yoon. Bailong tells the same thing as Yoon said. He cannot evaluate the dish that was taught by the monks in the temple. Finally, Lee Han starts to talk. He tells everyone, both the imperial roast duck dish and the Joseon's temple dish were equally good and best in their own taste, elegance, and appearance. Both were created by highly skilled cooks, so judging them merely based on the taste is nearly impossible. That is why he asked the cooks to evaluate their own dishes to show their mindset. But it seems both cooks match equally and both dishes prove to be equally best. So, Lee Han declares the second round is a tie. After announcing the results, he asked for Yoon's concerns regarding the decision, but Yoon thinks for a moment and smiles at how it ends up in their favor. He accepts the judgment and praises Lee Han for his fairness. Lee Han smiles at Yoon and tells everyone that tomorrow, the competition will be held here at the same time and left. Minister Jason smirks at Yoon before leaving the hall, but Yoon is unaware of it because she is bowing for the officials who are leaving. After everyone left, two teams start to talk. Bailong tells that he won this round but also lost in some aspects. He focused on the meaning while failing and captivating the tongues. Yoon smiles and tells Bailong that she is the one who won this round, but at the same time she feels like she lost too. She concentrates on the taste so deeply that she fails in adding the meaning to her dish, which is her shortcomings. Bailong laughed at how sharp-tongued Yoon is. He told her he looks forward to the next day's final competition and left. Cook Bong doubtfully asked Yoon, what has Bailong meant by saying he won but lost? Yoon explains that in today's competition, while their dish captivates the tongues of everyone with remarkable taste, Bailong's dish touches the heart. Even if they win by giving proper scores, at the end, it would be Bailong's dish that would have remained in everyone's heart. That is why he said we both won and lost. Cook Mang asks her, does that mean just now they are both praising themselves standing face to face? Yoon smiles and tells them that appreciating themselves while acknowledging each other's skills is what a good competition means. They happily tells Yoon that it is already a great accomplishment acknowledged by the great Ming Nation chefs, but Yoon replies that they not only acknowledged me but us as a whole team. While they were happily chatting, the chief eunuch arrives and tells Yoon that the Majesty wants to meet her. When she went to meet Lee-han, he poured her tea and asked her to drink it. Yoon admires the moon's reflection on the teacup, while Lee-han tells her after drinking the tea she may feel relaxed. He tells her he never thinks this competition would turn out to be serious and asks her to quit now. He tells her, even if they quit now, he needs to just bow and apologize to the chief envoy, but it will avoid a lot of trouble for them. Hearing this, Yoon immediately stops him and tells him not to think of quitting the competition. Yoon tells Lee-han she was angry at first to see the Ming Nation look down on them. But now, after seeing Cook Bong, Cook Meng, Seo, and others works hard for this competition and how the Ming Nation chefs compete sincerely. This time Yoon genuinely wants to win this competition. Listening to Yoon, Lee-han feels admiration for her and asks her, did she means what she says? Yoon nods and tells him she will do whatever it takes for her to win this competition. Lee-han asks about the cooker lid and Yoon tells him it didn't arrive yet, anyhow she trusts Jang Sing. When Yoon takes the teacup it slipped and the tea burns her hand. Seeing this Lee-han gets anxious and asked Chief Eunuch to get royal physician to treat her hand. While waiting for the physician, Lee-han holds the injured hand of Yoon and checks it. Yoon feels embarrassed. Lee-han asks Yoon to promise him that she will never get hurt in the future. He tells her that seeing her in pain gives him more pain. Yoon feels shy by the gaze of Lee-han. Later, the royal physician treats Yoon's hand. She was happy and shocked to see how well the ointment works on the injuries. On the other side, Majesty slams the table angrily after hearing the second round also ends in tie. Empress Dowager talks with a minister who shows her a letter and tells her that what she suspects is true. Seeing the letter, Empress Dowager infuriates and yells, how despicable this is for the chief envoy to do such a thing. But we don't know what they were talking about. Meanwhile, Secretary Song retrieves the remaining ingredients from Minister Jason, who jokes that he can leave some sacks of ingredients when Song tells him there is a lot more here. Somewhere in the palace, Yuguin shouts at the Ming chefs about the competition ends in tie and how it humiliates the Ming Nation. Cook Ming and Seo were preparing rice bowls by deep frying them in oil and others were preparing the ingredients for tomorrow's competition. Seeing the wild ginseng among the ingredients, everyone was surprised and happy. Even Yoon is surprised seeing the precious wild ginseng. The next day, the third round begins and everyone was present. Secretary Song announced today's cooking theme, which is soup with ginseng. Bailong and Yeojin greets each other. Lee-han tells them to begin cooking, and the bell rings. Ning team starts to prepare their dish, which is called Tiao Chang, while Yoon tells her team to make preparation for their dish silky ginseng chicken soup. Yoon splits the work among her team members and tells them to prepare the ingredients while asking Cook Bong to boil the chicken for the broth. Cook Bong worriedly asked Yoon what to do if the cooker's lid wasn't arrived. Yoon sighs and looks at the pots and tells them that she has a plan B, but it would be a little difficult. Yet, hearing that she has an alternative plan makes everyone relaxed. She asks Cook Meng to prepare the garlic and green onions for the broth and lets Seo assist him. Both teams starts cooking by lighting the stove and cutting the ingredients. Yoon's team is using black chicken while Bailong's team using normal chicken. Yoon asks Cook Bong, who is cutting the chicken, to cut the skin widely. Everyone is busy in preparation. Yoon puts the ingredients in a white cloth and bundles it into a small pouch, while on the other side, Ming chef starts to prepare their ingredients, which contains various items. Lee-han seems stunned by their ingredients and others were eager to see what the Ming chefs were making. Joseon chefs cut the green onions and black chicken and put all in the pot with various ingredients to prepare the broth. Seeing this, Lee-han tells Yuguin, Joseon chefs seems to be cooking silky ginseng chicken soup. He also wonders that the Ming cooks were using incredibly rare ingredients, and even he cannot find what they were making. Hearing this, Yuguin starts to explain that the ingredients Chef Kang Wenli preparing is oil-soaked deer tendon, which is one of the 8 treasures, the most precious ingredients. What Chef Bailong is cutting is called lion's mane. Hearing this, Li-han is shocked and exclaims that it's a rare mushroom which resembles a lion's mane. Yuguin chuckles and prays that Li-han is truly a gourmet who knows those ingredients. But he didn't stop there and continued to list out other ingredients like sea cucumber, abalone, bamboo shoots, and dried scallops. And most importantly, the white ginseng, which is said to be obtained through ancestral blessing. After hearing all these ingredients' names, Li-han was stunned and anxiously asked Yuguin, "It cannot be that dish, right?" But Yuguin laughs and replies, "Yes, it is what you think. A dish with rare ingredients, which is so precious that even makes a monk abandon his meditation and jumps over the wall when he smells the deep aroma. It is called tiaochang, a ginseng soup made with rare precious ingredients and deep care." After hearing this, Li-han seems more nervous while other ministers discuss this dish. Yoon started to prepare stuffing for the chicken like ginseng, guillotine rice, and other items, while Ming chefs were cutting and preparing the rare ingredients. Yoon stuffs all the ingredients into the full black chicken and tells Cook Bong and Cook Ming to tie the chicken legs tightly together. Both sides work hard in preparing the dish. Yuguin seems happy watching the Ming chefs cooking while Li-han seems a little nervous after knowing what Ming chefs are preparing. When the time is running, Yoon starts to worry, but calms herself telling to wait a little longer, for Jang Sing to arrive with the lid and covers the stuffed chicken aside. In the meantime, she tells her team to make other items for the dish like jujube rice cakes. Ming chefs prepare their soups in bowls and start to cook it on the stove with firewood. Lixing fans the fire while Bailong and Kang Wenli were cutting the ingredients. On the other hand, Yoon seems a little anxious and wants Jang Sing to arrive soon. Seeing more time passed, Cook Bong urges Yoon to go with Plan B. Cook Ming tells her if they wait longer there will be no time to finish the dish, which ultimately leads to their loss in the competition. Li-han and Yuguin notice their anxiety and commotion. Yoon finally decides to use the iron pot rather than wait for Jang Sing any longer. Suddenly, all hear a man's voice shouting outside and someone yells, "There is a strange bird in the sky." Outside, we can see Jang Sing arrives flying in his new invention, a flyer made with cloth and wood. He balances and lands a little harshly outside the competition hall. But, seeing a strange thing flying over the palace, guards surrounded Jang Sing. Jang Sing is in a hurry and tells the palace guards to move aside, as he is in a hurry. But palace guards point their sword at him when he tries to enter the palace. Fortunately, the royal guard of Leon comes out and takes Jang Sing inside the palace. Yoon and everyone in the competition venue were looking at the man entering the room. Yoon was overjoyed by seeing Jang Sing while Li-han also seemed so happy to meet him. Jang Sing hands over the cooker lid to Yoon while others seem confused and eager to see what Jang Sing is doing there. Yuguin asks Li-han about the man who enters just now and Li-han introduces him as his new palace attendant who delivers the cooking tool he asked for. Seeing the lid, Yoon feels so happy. She praises Jang Sing for arriving on time perfectly. But Jang Sing warned her that the lid was little damaged during the fight and asked her to minimize the heat. Hearing this, Yoon was taken aback and tells him she needs to cook with maximum heat and worries about the danger. But Jang Sing reassures her by joking she was in danger if she loses the competition. Yoon smiles and tells him that she trusts him. Jang Sing tells her to win this competition and leaves the hall. Yoon runs to her team in joy and Ming chefs watch her in confusion. Lixing asks for more firewood, but Kang Wenli tells her this dish must be cooked in slow heat for rich taste and checks the temperature. Bailong assures her, but she seems a little disappointed because time is running out. On the other side, Yoon prepares the stuffed chicken with broth and puts it in the cooker. Seo was surprised by how much fire it takes to heat up. Yoon explains that they need 110 degrees Celsius at 1.5 atmospheric pressure to boil the water, and it would be enough for their soup to taste perfect. She tells them to put as much as firewood to get more heat. When others joke about their back must be broken by carrying the firewoods, Cook Ming shuts them and explains Yojin tells more head wood makes the taste better, so get some firewoods. Hearing this, one jokes that Cooking Ming seems like a totally different person now. Cook Ming seems a little embarrassed and tells them to hurry and get more firewood. 30 minutes later, the chicken cooks well and the cooker starts to release the pressure. Everyone seems surprised by a strange pot hissing and releasing water vapor. Yuguin worries that strange pot will explode, while others in the room are all eagerly watching the cooker. Li-han assures him nothing dangerous will happen and Joseon royal chef knows what she is doing. When the whistle on the lid starts to spin and release pressure, Yojin gets overjoyed and praises Jang Sang for his work. Yojin takes a cloth and opens a small valve on the lid to release the pressure. Suddenly it starts to whistle loudly and sprays water, which shocks everyone. Even Li-han and Yuguin were frightened by such a strange whistle sound, but Yojin seems not to notice others' stunned reaction. Finally, the chicken is cooked well. When Ming chefs notice this, they wonder how can the Joseon chefs cook it in such a short time. Bailong wonders how they did it so soon, strange. Cook Bong notices Ming's stove and tells them that their dish is not done yet. Yojin notices this and proudly tells them, "It is the power of science and our dish also tastes better." And for the final step, they prepare a new form of silky ginseng chicken soup, which is nutritious from skin to meat. Yojin makes dumplings with glutinous rice and chicken skin, boils it in broth, and makes the fillings with minced meat. The top layer made with seasoned black chicken meat dumpling, mushroom, and ginseng completes the dish. Finally, the dish is filled with ginseng soup and covered with a crispy rice bowl. As for the tiaochong dish, cooking slowly makes the food rich in taste. Kang Wenli placed a craved dragon symbolizing power while Bailong poured liquor on the plate with salt and set a flame to warm the bowl as a final touch. Final bell rings and Secretary Song announces that the competition ends. Both teams present their dishes before the king and Yuguin. First, they are going to taste Yojin's dish. She steps forward and tells them how to eat, uses the spoon to crack the rice bowl covering the food and starts to eat the dumpling along with the meat and broth. Li-han, excited, asked about the dish's name. Yojin replies it is called silky ginseng chicken soup and tells him that the dumplings are made with black chicken skin and the chicken is stuffed with 100-year-old premium wild ginseng, cooked in a pressure cooker. It is cooked with medicinal herb broth, which enhances the texture of the meat and gives the broth a deep flavor. But seeing the dumpling in chicken skin, Yuguin says it does not look refined. Hearing this, Li-han laughs and tells Yuguin that it is similar to food served in Western culture and mocks him for not knowing much about the Western foods. Yuguin tries to act like he knows about the Western foods, which makes Yojin laugh. After taking the first bite, Li-han and Yuguin seem to be mesmerized by the taste that they can even see a golden phoenix. Both their actions look so funny at this moment. Yuguin claims he is an immortal riding a phoenix. Leon wonders how the chicken is ultimately tender that there is no need to separate the bone. Each time he tastes the broth, the taste of ginseng and green onions spread inside, which makes him feel warm. Yuguin wonders if it is truly a ginseng chicken soup made with silky. The meat melts in his mouth and the warmth spreads inside him. He wonders if this dish is truly magnificent and totally new. Others seem to enjoy breaking the rice bowl and eating the dish. Li-han praises it's a delicious food and starts to taste the food made by Ming cooks. Kang Wenli walks before the king and presents the dish, which is called tiao chang. It is made with land and sea ingredients like white ginseng, lion's mane, sea cucumber, pine mushrooms, and more. He says that each bite will taste different with various ingredients that bring out the flavors to their mouth. Hearing this, Yuguin laughs and praises this dish truly worthy of the great Ming. After taking the first sip, both Li-han and Yuguin seem to be traveling into a realm of ingredients. Li-han even cries and thinks it is called a food of the gods for a reason. Yuguin thinks there is no comparison with such taste. Everyone seems to be eating Ming's dish to their heart's content. Even Leon eats all the soup. Seeing everything around her, Yojin seems a little nervous. We can see everyone emptying both the Ming and Joseon foods. Now, it's the time for the result of the third and final round. And to be fair, Li-han asks the cooks to taste each other's food and gives scores to each other. Each cook can give 10 points, which would make the full score of 30 points. Yoon also accepts the king's way of selecting the final winner. He wants to make up for his previous unfairness in the scores, and as an apology. So he accepts this scoring method. The cooks can give scores fairly to each other. Yoon, Cook Bong and Cook Ming starts to taste the soup made by Ming chefs, while Bailong and Lixing eat the Joseon's dish. After tasting the soup, Yoon is stunned by the taste and tells Cook Bong, without the pressure cooker, they might not have a chance to stand against Ming's dishes. But Cook Ming shrugs it off as it is a dish which is just a combination of rare ingredients, while the taste is not that impressive. Yoon notices one of the Ming chefs, Kang Wenli, seems conflicted and didn't eat the food. Yoon asks about Kang Wenli to Chef Bong, and Cook Ming tells them he has been noticing that chef. He doesn't eat anything at all. Yoon thought he must be anorexic, which is an illness that makes one unable to eat. When Cook Ming asks how a cook cannot eat anything at all, but Yoon explains that after reaching a certain level, some couldn't eat any food. Lihan also notices Kang Wenli's behavior and asks Yoon about it. Yoon smugly tells Lihan that after reaching the highest cooking skills, Kang Wenli stops eating the food as if it affects him. He is the chef that cooks delicious food without tasting it. Hearing this, Lihan is stunned and asks Yoon, without tasting the food, how can he give points? Yoon smirks and replies that it's really a problem. If he can't eat, then he can't give scores. He taunts Lihan with his laughing. Yoon then reveals that it's a payback for how Lihan reprimanded him for not scoring honestly yesterday. He tells Lihan to do whatever he can to make Kang Wenli give scores fairly. An anorexic cook. Yoon thought for a moment and hurriedly takes a bowl and mixes all the soup and meat into it. Everyone seems to be confused by Yoon's sudden action. Seeing this, Yoon mocks that Yoon becomes perplexed after tasting Ming's dish. Yoon replaced the neatly plated food with a bowl of soup before Kang Wenli. She tells him, making food is the joy of the cook and tasting is the people's joy. She prepares this for him in the hope that he will be happy after eating it, and she adds, it tastes even better when all put together. Seeing that bowl of soup, Kang Wenli recalls his past memory, in which, as a young man, he repeatedly tries to make a perfect soup. But his grandmother puts all the ingredients together and tells him that there is nothing called perfect and not to complicate everything. She tells him it tastes good when you cook everything together. After insisted by his grandmother, he takes a sip and was stunned by its deliciousness. Now he picks a chicken leg from the soup and takes a bite. This stunned Bailong, Lixing, and even Yoon seem shocked seeing Kang Wenli eats. After taking a bite, Kang Wenli laughs loudly and tells Yoon, once his grandmother made a soup by throwing all sorts of ingredients together, which turns out to be the tastiest soup he ever had. For years, he tries to make something that is tasty, but nothing he cooks tastes like that. From then on, he can cook without tasting it. However, the more he cooks, the harder it gets for him to eat, and he starts to cry. Seeing this, Bailong also gets teary eyes. Kang Wenli tells her food tastes like his grandmother's food. He says he cannot accept himself to be a better cook as he can't surpass his grandmother's cooking and drinks the soup to his heart's content. Yoon tells him that once a wise man tells to care and to be considerate, she makes this out of consideration for him, and his grandmother also cooks with similar thoughts in her heart. Kang Wenli tells her, now he realizes that a true cook is someone who brings joy for themselves and others. He announces that he lost to her and bowed respectfully to Yoon. Everyone in Yoon's team is overjoyed and Lihan also seems happy. Yoon is still in shock while other ministers were happy except Jason and Few. Now it is the time to reveal the final scores of the third round. Joseon chefs give 27 points to Ming's dish. Ming chefs give 28 points to Joseon's dish, which concludes Joseon wins this competition. Seeing this, everyone is overjoyed and celebrates the victory. Yoon thanked Ming chefs for giving such an opportunity to compete against such great cooks. Yoon extends her hand and explains to the confused Bailong that, from where she came, they greet each other with handshakes and shake Bailong's hand. When Lihan tells Yoon that Joseon chefs won the competition, Yuguin accepts it and tells the king that he will relinquish the harvest for ginseng and also take only one tribute item to show their appreciation. When Lihan asks what it is, Yuguin points directly at Yojin and tells him he will take only their royal chef Yojin and present her as a tribute woman to his emperor. Hearing this, Yojin panics and other ministers seem shocked, while Lihan enrages and shouts at Yuguin what nonsense he is talking about. But Yuguin starts laughing loudly and sensing something is off. A minister signals the court lady who runs outside. Lihan also laughs and reaches Yuguin and holds his arms. Suddenly, Lihan smacks his head with Yuguin's head heavily, stunning everyone. The hall erupts in chaos. Minister Jason starts to laugh at such a scene and both sides' guards point swords at each other. Ministers were baffled by the king's action of striking the chief envoy's head with his head. Yuguin, who falls down, wakes up with a nosebleed and screams at Lihan for his behavior as a king. But Lihan mocks him by telling it is just a way of how Joseon people greet each other. Yuguin yells at him, no matter what, he will definitely take Yojin to their nation as a tribute woman and orders his guards to capture her. But Lihan's royal guard and other cooks from her team protect the scared Yojin. Lihan warns Yuguin, if he wants to take her, he must have at least taken 100 of soldiers with him. Hearing this, Yuguin enrages with anger and asks him, did he dare to challenge the great Ming nation? The king replies yes anytime. When their conflict reaches its peak, someone announces the arrival of the Empress Dowager. Seeing the Emperor Dowager, everyone stops and greets her. She scolds Lihan for his reckless behavior and asks Yuguin, as a royal envoy, why did he, aside from his official duties, suggest an imprudent competition? Hearing this, Yuguin replies he was here on behalf of the emperor of the great nation for the harvest rites and tribute women. Listening to his replies, Empress Dowager shouts, how dare you, Yuguin? This shocked everyone and Yuguin talks back at her telling, both the king and the Empress Dowager must have lost their mind to insult him. It is like insulting his emperor himself and threatening them. Do you wish to be punished? Empress Dowager smirks at his attitude and gives him a letter. Empress Dowager tells him it is a letter from her aunt, the late emperor's second wife of Ming Nation, Consort Yoon. She asks him, do you still insist that it is your Majesty that requests the harvest rites and tribute women? Hearing this, Minister Jason seemed a little nervous while Lihan was shocked. Realizing the aunt of the Grand Royal Queen Dowager of Joseon is actually the late emperor's second wife, Yuguin panics and kneels down. He apologized for deceiving the king and dishonoring the Ming nation's royal family. Seeing Yuguin kneeling down, everyone from the Ming nation, including their chefs, also kneels down. Empress Dowager forgives him, and Lihan gets the assurity of what he promised if Joseon wins the competition, purchasing goods at a cheap price and letting Yuguin leave. After the Ming envoys left the hall, Empress Dowager reprimanded the king for his carelessness once again. She tells him, this nation does not belong to him only. Lihan apologized for his reckless behavior and his grandmother asked him for a favor. She says, the Grand Prince Jinmyong was curious about his royal chef Yojin and wanted to taste her cooking. Lihan accepts the request and immediately tells her that he will arrange a meal for him tomorrow. That night, Consort Mokju and Minister Jason talk about the meal Grand Prince Jinmyong is going to have tomorrow. Mokju shows him something and tells him that she was planning to poison the food Yojin prepares tomorrow. Minister Jason seems a little hesitant by this plan and asks her, is she really going to poison the Grand Prince Jinmyong? Mokju tells him, if this can eliminate the royal chef and makes the Majesty explode with fury, then she doesn't mind sacrificing him at all. But Jason asks her, using poison also leaves traces which is troublesome. Mokju replies, it won't be if poison is not poison at all. Minister Jason seems a little worried and tells her, he thought at some point she was going to betray him. Mokju tells him, she will never betray him because he is the reason for her to live a decent life. Hearing this, Jason assures her once he won, he will take her as his official wife and she will be free. In Lihan Place, he orders his royal guard to investigate all the military units of Joseon, especially those who have deserted or transferred units. When the royal guard asks, if it is to find the people who try to attack him. Leon replies no, it is for treachery. Meanwhile, Seo and Yoon talk about today's events while lying on the bed. Seo talks excitedly about the cooking competition and how she will never forget this experience. Meanwhile, Yoon tells her she was nearly dragged to Ming Nation as a tribute woman. Both laugh and Seo sleeps, but Yoon wonders how she starts to act like a Joseon person and thinks about her teammates and the king. On the other side of the palace, Lehan takes a note and starts to write while recalling about Yoon and smiles. The next day, Lehan talks with Yoon, asks about her injuries, for which Yoon replies it healed after the royal physician's acupuncture. When Yoon tells him about the menu for the meal, roast chicken, he instructs her to add macarons to the menu for the Grand Prince Jinmyeon as he is child and will like sweets. Yoon wonders it would be nice to have a meal with your little brother in such a beautiful pavilion. When Yoon turns to leave, he holds her hand and tells her that he has a gift for her. He signals the chief eunuch, who carries a box, to Yoon. When she opens it, a new dress was there. Lehan explains it is a new dress for the royal chef. She was overjoyed hearing this and asked him if that color suits her. Suddenly she remembers something and tells him why he gave her a chef attire. Because she will leave soon anyway. Lehan was sad hearing this, but tells her even if she leaves she will need a chef attire. Yeohin thanked him, and he told her to meet him at the office of royal horticulture after preparing the meal for the Grand Prince. But Yoon tells him she has a prior appointment with Ming chefs, sending them off and to say goodbye. He reluctantly agrees and tells her to make it quick and meet him at the office of royal horticulture. At the kitchen, everyone praises her new attire while Yoon instructs them that the roast chicken for the menu is similar to Peking duck dish they made. She gives each some work and starts to cut the ginseng. Lehan and Prince Jinmyeong sat and talked at the pavilion. Lehan tells his little brother that this is the first time they dine together alone, and notices Prince Jinmyeong is uncomfortable around him. He suggests they should dine more often in the future. Hearing this, the little prince is overjoyed and tells Lehan that he really wants to eat the dishes made by Yoon at the competition against Ming Nation. Yoon arrives with the meal and serves them the dishes. She explains, this is the roasted chicken similar to the Peking duck she made at the competition. The little prince tells her, seeing these dishes makes his mouth watering already, and starts to eat. Yoon shows the mustard sauce she made and tells Lehan to dip the chicken in it and eat. After taking the first bite, the little prince was mesmerized by the taste and wondered if he would ever taste anything like this. Lehan praised her once again. The little prince also praised her as she is truly talented, as all say, and all laughed. Seeing Lehan caring for his little brother, Yoon thinks maybe he is not the tyrant like how the history tells, and hopes the purge will not happen in the future. While thinking, she wonders to herself if she altered the history. Later, the Ming chefs meet the Joseon chefs. Yoon gifts them ginsengs and tells them to try creating new dishes with them. They also present few gifts to Joseon chefs. When Cook Ming asks them, did they not go with the chief envoy? Bailong tells them, with Yuguan's permission, they will go separate ways and learn more about cooking while traveling. Yoon is so envious after hearing such an offer, and Bailong reminds her to wait for them to compete again properly in the future. Before leaving the place, Bailong tells Yoon that he is not interested in other nations' politics, but asks her to deliver a message to their king. The edges of objects are always harder to see, and when you sleep be sure to lock the latch securely. Hearing such puzzling sentences, she asks him, is it all he wants to tell the king? When he replies affirmatively, she tells him she relies his message to the king. As a farewell, Bailong shakes hands with Yoon and leaves the palace. Somewhere in the palace, maids were running urgently at night, and something seems to be happened serious. After sending the Ming chefs, Yoon and her team were returning to their place, wondering what Bailong's message truly meant. Suddenly, a consort comes towards them and slaps Yoon hard, which causes her to fall to the ground. With anger, the consort tells her that she will never cook for the Majesty again. When Yoon asks in confusion what happened, the consort yells at her that her child, the little prince, is at death's door after eating her roast chicken. Hearing this shocks Yoon and everyone with her. Amidst the crying of her teammates, Yoon was dragged out by the consort's maids. When the little prince is treated with acupuncture needles in a serious condition, Mokju with her maid were laughing about the situation and how Yoon must be suffering by now. At the dungeon, Yoon was tied to a chair and was tortured by the guards on the supervision of the consort. Meanwhile, Lee-han was waiting for her at the office of Royal Horticulture with the secret ingredients she lost to surprise her. The episode ends here. We will see you in the next episode in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching and please subscribe to our channel.